I will click here to continue. Hello, good afternoon, my students. Today, we are going to use topic 3, having done topic 1 and 2 to see how forensic science is, the crime, and the issue of community policing as police science. Today, we are going to look at the forensic psychologist's roles and their responsibility. I remain Dr. Hallery Tijani, the course facilitator of Forensic Science CSS 455. Thank you. Intended learning outcomes. At the end of this unit, you will be able to define the forensic psychology. You will be able to state the roles of forensic psychologists and also to apply the knowledge of forensic psychology to understand the criminal profiling. You will describe the procedures used in criminal profiling and also to discuss the use of hypnosis in criminal investigation. Forensic psychology has become an important focus of clinical practice as well as scientific research. Prominent cases involving such topics as the insanity defense, the use of jury consultant with psychological training, the use of psychology in the profiling of criminal suspects, and also eyewitness, memory, interrogation, and compassion. Let us look at the definition of forensic psychology. This section introduces you to the definition of forensic psychology, as I said earlier. One definition has been proposed by Battle and Battle, 1984. It is both consists of A, the research endeavor that examines aspects of human behavior directly related to the legal process. For example, eyewitness memory and testimony, jury decision-making, or criminal behavior. B, the professional practice of psychology within or in consultation with a legal system that encompasses both criminal and civil law, with numerous areas which they interact. Forensic psychology is the intersection between psychology and the criminal justice system. The roles and responsibility of forensic psychology. One of the roles is to preparing for and providing testimony in the court in order to understand the case appropriately. Another role is evaluating the client, preparing for testimony, and testimony itself requires something like the forensic psychologist to have a firm grasp of the law and the legal situation at issue in the courtroom. Another role performed by a forensic psychologist include the issue of malingering, competence evaluation, sanity evaluation, and ethical implication, etc., etc. The criminal profiling. Criminal profiling has been described as an educated attempt to providing information about a certain type of suspect and as a biographical sketch of behavioral patterns, trends, and tendencies. This definition is given by Gabbard 1981. It is important also to recognize that profiling does not provide the specific identity of the offender. Similarly, not all types of crimes are susceptible to successful criminal profiling. That is why Holmes and Holmes 1996 concluded that such crimes as check forgery, bank robbery, and kidnapping are not good candidates for profiling. Crime scene equipment. The essential ones are as follows. Binding paper, biohazard bags, using a body fluid collection kit, camera 35 millimeters with flash film and tripod. Also, another equipment is casting material, consent search forms, and also crime scene barricade tape. These are the most equipment that are expected to use in the crime scene. The question is, how does criminal profiling work? Personality profiles of criminals are based on the way in which a crime is committed, which is called a method of operation. The method of operation includes the identity of the victims. What the victims in case of a serial offender have in common: the weapons used, the degree of the hostility, the existence or lack of any torture and or sexual molestation, and so on. Also, criminal profiling is the act of developing a psychological profile of an offender based on the state of the crime. Profiling is most often done by a forensic psychologist. A profile is a psychological sketch of an offender. There is a lot that a crime scene can tell a forensic psychologist about the person who committed the crime, especially in the crime scene. Let us look at the phases of profiling. How many phases of profiling do we have? According to Greg O, the basic premise is that behavior reflects personality. In a homicide case, for example, crime profilers try to collect the personality of the offender through questions about his or her behavior at 4 phases. Let us look at the phases. Phases 1 is the antecedent phases. Phases 2 is the method and manner. Phases 3 is the body disposal, while phases 4 is post-offense behavior. Having a look at the phases, let us understand the criminal profile generating process. A criminal profile generating process is with 5 main stages. Stage 1, a comprehensive study of the nature of the criminal act and the types of persons who have committed like offenses in the past. Stage 2, a detailed analysis of the crime scene. And stage 3 include an in-depth examination of the background and the activities of the victim or victims in general. Stage number 4, a formulation of possible motivation factors for all the parties involved of the matter under investigation. Then the last one is the development of a description of the perpetrator based on overall characteristics from the crime scene and the past criminal behavior. Organized offenders. Organized offenders are more apt to, 1, plan. They have plan because they are more organized. They are aware it's an organized crime. So the criminal plans themselves of how to go into that criminal activities in order for them to succeed. Then they use restraint. When the situation is unavoidable for them, they will not go into crime. They have to wait and study the situation so that they will escape through what they are going to do. Commit sexual act with live victim. They are more dangerous criminals. Emphasize control over the victim by using manipulative or threatening technique. Because they are organized, they can even threaten the victim. Then they use car or truck. They can't go just like that because it's an organized crime. They used to plan so that they can narrowly escape whenever the situation is critical to them. That is how the organized offenders used to organize themselves in order to succeed in any type of criminal activities. And they can plan well, they can use vehicle in order to succeed. Having a look at the organized offenders, let us compare the organized offenders with the disorganized offenders. Disorganized offenders are more likely to leave a weapon at the crime scene. Why? Because they are not organized. Looking at the organized offenders, they used to plan. The disorganized are not planning anything. They just go into crime and they usually fail. because they will leave a weapon, which when you remember our technique of crime investigation scene, we used to look at a lot of equipment used by the criminal or the offenders. So when they escape and leave a weapon there, we will take as an exhibit to go into laboratory to carry out scientific forensic investigation on that property. Reposition the dead body is another way of disorganized by the criminal. They also perform sexual acts with a dead body, you see. They are not organized. They keep the dead body. They will just kill and leave the dead body there. So after carrying a lot of scientific investigation, they can easily be traced because they are not organized. They try to depersonalize the body again, and they are not use a vehicle. So when they escape, usually that is why they used to be arrested, because they are not using a vehicle for them to escape. Look at the difference. While they organizing themselves, they use a vehicle, they use a plan. The disorganized difference with the organized one is they leave a weapon. They also keep the dead body, and they are not using vehicle. Having understand the difference between the organized and disorganized offenders, looking at the concept of criminal profiling, we will stop here till we meet in the next class. Thank you for listening.